I'm Vashi Dominguez, founder, chairman and chief executive officer of Diamond Manufacturers Limited, trading as Vashi.com. The way that Vashi.com works is very different to every other retailer. So we have a disruptive business model, which what we're doing is we are connecting diamond cutters and mines directly with the end consumer, bypassing the middlemen and the 3 or 4 layers that there are normally in between the supply chain. So this leads to savings of over 70% when compared to high street stores and luxury jewelers. Well, it took a lot of drive, a lot of passion, determination, and more importantly, sheer persistence. I had to visit over 200 offices in Antwerp, Belgium, before someone was willing to do business with me. So it's only because of this relentless perseverance that I had that I am here today. This is my 4th business. My first business was in my hometown of Tenerife, Spain. I had a shop selling electronics, selling cameras, which was very successful. So I opened a second store after a few months, and then I was considering opening 2 more stores. And I took a step back and I thought, I want to scale this business, but I don't want to end up with dozens of stores because of the fact that the rent was extremely high. And although we had a big flow of business, I didn't believe that it was sustainable in the island. So I sold both shops for profit and founded my second business, which was an electronics wholesale business. The challenge with the electronics wholesale business was that in order to get cost advantage, I have to import from the Far East the goods, the merchandise, namely from Hong Kong and China. And I was importing 20 and 40 feet containers of electronic goods. The costs were prohibitive to be able to do air shipping, so the only option that I had was shipping by sea. So the cost advantage that I had, it was taking 6 weeks for the goods to arrive from Hong Kong and China into Spain. So by the time I have received the goods, because of the constant innovation on electronics, where new products are coming out every week, the prices keep on dropping for the same items. So by the time I have received the items, I had no price advantage whatsoever. In fact, I had a disadvantage. So I quickly realized that it wasn't a scalable business model from the geographical location where I was based, and decided to move into diamonds. Sold all the stock I had on electronics and moved on to diamonds, which was my 3rd business. Moving into diamonds was quite easy because I've always had a passion for them since I was a little boy. So I went to Antwerp, Belgium, and I visited over 200 offices till I can finally penetrate and got someone that was willing to cut me a deal. Built an international diamond wholesale company over the years, where I ended up having clients in 4 continents, ranging from jewelers to dealers. And this is when I realized that I had this idea of, I've built these very strong supply chain relationships at main source level, so with the mines and the diamond cutters, and I realized I could now connect this to the end consumer, i.e. you, and therefore bypass all the middlemen in the supply chain and pass those savings to the customers. So in 2007 I founded Diamond Manufacturers, and it was an online business, and the reason for going online was that it was a scalable model and also one that facilitated globalization. So now we are going to rename into Vashi.com. The way that Vashi.com works is that it's connecting diamond cutters with the end consumer, therefore bypassing 3 or 4 layers in the supply chain and passing those savings to you, the consumer. This translates into prices which are 70% cheaper than the high street and luxury jewelers. Our prices are regularly compared and validated against high street stores and luxury jewelers. And to put this into perspective, if you see a stunning diamond ring in a store in London or anywhere else in the UK for £10,000, you will be able to get the exact same ring from us for less than £3,000. And that is a lot of money to be saved. So I initially funded my business with £80,000, which was from my own personal savings. Since then, the company has been developed using retained earnings. The company has been profitable since inception, and we've grown net profits by over 1,000% in the last 3 years. Initially, our customer was a male, typically aged between 25 and 39, looking to buy an engagement ring for the very first time for his partner as a surprise. As the company has evolved, we have expanded our product range, and now we have a lot of female consumers who love to treat themselves, as they call it, a payday treat. So every month or every few months, when they get their wages or the bonus, they go and buy a piece of jewelry. But in essence now, as the company has grown, our customer is really the smart, money-saving consumer that's looking to get the very best value for money, whilst also demanding the highest quality and best possible service. The thing I've done is and still is investing in the people. I think that, you know, in order to be successful in any business, you need to have a fantastic culture in the workplace. And the only way that you do this is by really caring for the people that work for you and providing a path for them to be able to develop their career as well as to develop themselves personally. The most effective marketing tactic wasn't perhaps a marketing tactic, but was broadening our product range, because initially we were only selling engagement rings, which was very, very narrow, so it was almost a niche within a niche. And we've now begun selling wedding rings, anniversary rings, eternity rings, as well as diamond jewelry, including earrings, pendants, necklaces. Next month we're adding bracelets, as well as gemstone jewelry and pearl jewelry. So we've also broadened our price points, which has enabled us to derive new opportunities for revenue growth. We have currently 20 full-time employees. We're also working with a large number of agencies and freelancers, so altogether it's around 50. There isn't such thing. You know, sometimes get asked what's a regular day, and I say a regular day is an irregular day. So the only thing that I do every day is reply to emails. Everything else is different. I'm regularly on television, explaining to the consumers how to invest in diamonds or how to get the best value for money for diamonds or jewelry. I can be at press events, obviously meetings with the staff and the stakeholders, developing products and services, revising or realigning the business strategy, ensuring that everything is in line and is changing based on the feedback and the data that we are getting on an ongoing basis. And sometimes even quality controlling items, which are going to go to customers, and even answering the phone, talking to customers by phone as well as by email. This is something that I do randomly, and I think it's very important as the company grows that we keep the essence alive, which is that the top still has a very good understanding of what's going on the front line. We have some very, very exciting plans. Next month we are rebranding from diamondmanufacturers.co.uk into Vashi.com. The reason for changing the name is twofold. Over the years, our customers have been writing letters to us and giving us feedback online saying, your jewelry is beautiful, your name isn't. So we've been getting this feedback, and now we've listened and we're acting on the feedback that we've been receiving. And the second reason for changing the name is that we are currently, over the next 6 months, launching localized websites in Ireland, Germany and France. And in 2014, we are planning to launch websites in several other international territories. And we feel that Vashi is a better brand name that's going to suit these multiple territories. Also, going back to all of the diamonds that we export and import mainly come from Mumbai, which accounts for 80% of the world's diamond exports. The new area in Mumbai, in India, near the diamond district, is called Vashi. My father's name is also Vashi, and he comes from Mumbai, so there is some strong resonance back to the heritage. That is what the brand now truly represents. I wish I could say bankers. That's not the case. Definitely customers. I think from the get-go I've always wanted to have the world's most customer-centric company, and what that means is that we put the customer first on every decision that we make. So customers have really been key. I think if you look after your customers, they will look after your business. Suppliers, I think, have also played an important role, because I was a diamond wholesaler previously and I managed to build strong supply chain relationships at source level. That enabled me to then create Diamond Manufacturers and Vashi.com. I was born and raised in Tenerife, Spain, and a guy there told me that in order to grow sales, you need to have as much stock as possible. So I had a small warehouse, and he was saying you should have a bigger warehouse and you should fill it with the stock, and that's the first move that you should make before you go and try to sell, because otherwise you may end up getting a lot of demand, but you can't fulfill your demand. Thankfully, I didn't take that advice on board, but as you can see, that's pretty awful advice in my opinion, so it's definitely the worst advice I've ever received. I think the best business advice wouldn't necessarily come from someone directly, but it came from my own research, which was something very interesting, which what it says is, if you want to have the most customer-centric company in the world, you cannot put your customers first. You have to put your employees first, because by putting your employees first, in essence, you're putting your customers first, because then the service is something that's going to come directly from their heart. And it's not just having excellent service, but you gotta deliver it consistently. I think that consistency is key for success. That's a difficult question. I think I've made a lot of mistakes. Probably the worst mistake was back in the late 90s when I was an electronics wholesale. I was traveling to Hong Kong and I was buying every month. I was spending a week there and I was buying from this supplier. And the way that it was working was that whilst I was there, I was making payment by bank transfer. He had clear funds and then he was making the shipment back to Spain by sea. One time he had delays getting some of the goods to complete the shipment from China, so he suggested making the shipment the following week when I was in Spain. And I made the mistake of offering to pay him as a goodwill gesture. So I did pay him, but he never shipped the goods to me and I never managed to get in touch with him. I lost just over $50,000 and I was 20 years at the time, so it was a massive, massive knockout for me. The first one will be follow your passion, and I know a lot of people say that, but the reason for saying that is that if you're not extremely passionate, I think you will give up, because things at some point will get very, 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 very tough, and if you don't love what you do, then you're going to give up. The second thing is don't give up. Now, I believe that sheer persistence can sometimes be the difference between success and failure, and I'm a living example of that. I faced rejection time after time after time. I had over 100 different reasons to quit, but I just persevere and persevere, and that's the reason why I am who I am today. And the third, and perhaps the most important, is that no matter what business you're in, you must put the customer first and foremost at all times. It doesn't matter if you sell products or if you're in the service industry. Because if you put your customers first and every decision that you're making is based on the satisfaction, then everything else from revenue to profit will follow. Yeah, so when I was like 3, 4, I wanted to be an astronaut and the typical things. But since I've been like 7 or 8 years old, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want until I got to 18 years old. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I always had a feeling that I wanted to do something that was big in business and that will somehow change the lives of consumers or add value to consumers. It doesn't have to be necessarily creating something new, but it can also be improving something that's already in the marketplace in a way that's giving more value to customers.